Hey everyone, this is Shannon. I'm Tony's wife, and he made it to 250 subscribers, so I guess it's my turn to give my testimony. Well, I'd like to say that I got saved when I was 19 years old. It was on Thanksgiving night. I was just laying in my bed, and I asked Jesus to come in and be the Savior of my life, to live in my heart, and that's where it all started. Now, a big part of me becoming a Christian was because of, my ex-husband. His name's Jason, and he helped lead me to the Lord. He had a peace and a love about him that I wanted, and the way his life was, going and everything, and I wanted that. He showed me that there was a greater love than just earthly love. I got a lot of love from my parents. They're wonderful people. I grew up with a mother that told me and my sister every night, say your prayers. But it didn't really click with me until I got a little older, and I met someone that I had fallen in love with, and I just saw how they were, and I wanted to be like that as well. After about 10 years of marriage, we decided to divorce. Mistakes were made, and it's just what we decided to do. It was a hard time in our life. We have a child together. I say child, he's 24 years old now. He's also a Christian, thank God. But when I first divorced, my ex-husband and I first divorced, I did something that a lot of Southern Baptists like to use, a term. It's called backslid. And that's what I did. And I used the excuse that, I got married at age 20. I had just turned 20. I was so young. I never got a chance to live. And, I used that as, that's why I could go out and party and have fun and do the things I should have done before I got married, or, maybe should have never done, but it's something I've done. But I was out at a bar one night in Birmingham, Alabama, and I met this man and hung out with him for a little while. At some point, he got a hold of my phone, and this is before we had, security codes on our phone. But he got a hold of my phone and called my phone with his number and this little programming thing. I never even knew that he had, done that. We'd sat there and talked for a couple of hours at least, And then later that week, I had gotten a phone call just in the middle of the night, and it was Tony. We talked for 3 hours. He was on his way to some medical device conference somewhere in South Georgia. And I told him at that time, I was straight up with him. I told him, I said, I am a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And, if this is something that, we want to be serious about, or, be around each other more, I knew that I was in a place in my life that I couldn't get anyone saved. I was still trying to figure out life and, where I fit in with God, And I just wanted to make sure that if we were going to go any further in our relationship, that he was a Christian also, and he was. So, that helped a lot. But we spent many years in living in South Carolina, actually, for 11 and a half years. And while we were there, we visited some churches and all, and I never felt real comfortable at any of the churches. I mean, it was church. Like, some of y'all understand when I say that, the same old stuff, And we just never really felt called to any of the churches there in South Carolina. Well, the COVID hit, and in 2020, there was something deep in me, through all this that I did, all these partying days and having fun and not really living the way God wanted me to live, I never stopped loving the Lord. And I saw, throughout our entire marriage, the Lord has revealed himself in so many different ways. And I guess you can say there are times where I just kind of ignored some of it and then thought, well, it's just how the cookie crumbles. But, Tony had lost his job multiple times. He worked for medical device companies, and if you know anything about them, if you're there 3 years, well, then you've made it a long haul. But somehow we always had money. We always had food. Always had nice things. Jaden was always taken very well care of. That's my son. And now looking back, I know that it wasn't anything that we really did. It was God taking care of us, and I feel like he had a bigger plan for us. So then when the COVID hit, Tony was working 16 to 18 hours a day. I was home alone a lot, and I was able to get back in touch with God a little bit more. I think a lot of people did around this time because we were at home, nothing to do except for the internet. But there was something in me that just I felt like I need to be back in Alabama. I need to be back closer to my family, to my parents. So, we moved here to Alabama now, where we live, and in this time, we found another church, because another reason why I didn't like going to churches as much either is because when I was going through my divorce, the church I went to at the time, I didn't really receive any kind of counseling or help. As a matter of fact, I was kind of shunned by a lot of the church members. So you can easily say that I was burned by the church. I know that I was in the wrong, but I feel like, maybe if I would have had a little bit more counsel there that I feel like a church is supposed to supply to their believers, but I didn't get that necessarily at this church. It wasn't a bad church. It just, I don't know, it just didn't work out that way. That was another reason why I didn't like churches. But since we've been here in Alabama, we've stumbled across this other church, and it's The Gathering, where we go now. It's actually in a bar. No, they don't serve drinks on Sunday. If they wanted to, they could. I wouldn't care, but they don't. But since we've been there, a big part of my testimony now is my husband was involved in a book study. It was called Maximize Manhood. And that book and this church and the followers and the people at this church really transformed his life. It's what we call surrendering. The most important thing is to get saved, and that's what we've both been, but I don't feel like either one of us had truly surrendered, meaning that we still liked, watching certain things and listening to certain things. That's really not good for us, not for him and I. We enjoy our Christian music, and we enjoy like our country music, and we love watching history things on TV and things like that when we get to watch TV. But we met this church, and it's the first time in a very, very long time that I have felt very welcomed and loved. Like, I love the people there, but I feel the love back from them as well. And to me, that is God showing himself. Our little church is just is growing like crazy, and it has helped me to come back to God a little bit more. I never left him. I just ignored him from time to time. But he's always answered my prayers, the ones that I truly, truly prayed that he felt like, okay, I'm going to intervene. But with my bringing up, it started when I was 19. That's when I got saved. And, from there, I lived as good as I thought I could. And like I said, mistakes were made, but now I feel like I'm back on the right track because of my husband. But we've been married 17 years, and it's been up and down the whole time, but God's always been the center of it, and that's the main thing. And that's basically my testimony, part of it anyway. There's other parts I'm sure will come, because the thing about a testimony is it's never ending as far as I can see. There's always going to be certain stages in your life that you want to talk about or you want to tell people about. And there are other parts of my testimony that I leave between me and God. And I'm just hoping that what I could tell you about mine might help you in some way, and it may not. It may not be all that interesting to some of y'all, and that's fine. I don't think it's too terribly interesting, but I was asked to give it, and I thought I would give it to the best of my ability. I made all these notes. I don't know if I went through them correctly, but I hope I didn't jibber jabber on too much, because I have a tendency to do that when I'm nervous. But I do appreciate everyone tuning in and supporting my husband's channel. It has it's made a huge difference in our lives as well. So you guys are blessing us, and I hope we're blessing you guys as well. And that's my testimony. Thanks for listening, and I hope maybe it could help someone out. Have a good day.